all this time they say we come from Africa, why was we referred to as American Negroes? Why would we refer to as American Negroes if we came from Africa? They could have referred to us as African American, you know. They could have referred to us as African American upon coming out of slavery. I mean, if we come out of Africa and you wanted to sell the whole narrative that our people came by here through forced immigration, that's a new term they use now, forced immigration. In other words, supposedly forcing people, making people come from their homeland to work and serve you. Why didn't they refer to us as African Americans before? Why were we the American Negro? Why we went through all these changes? Why did we, who came over here on slave ships, because I heard somebody still telling this stupid narrative, and like I said, the fake history of the white man, the so-called white man, in which they took 100 million slaves or millions of black people in bondage, yet they don't have none of these ships. They don't have none of these ships. They took all these millions of black people in bondage to. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. I mean, the history is so contorted. The history is so muddied. The history is so falsified. It's ridiculous. I was watching this documentary, and for some reason now, the white historians want to keep on, revisiting when Caucasian people came into the Americas and what it was like. They want to keep on revisiting that because it's almost like they're trying to do some patchwork. They're trying to cover over the lies that they told earlier. Because I was watching one documentary early today, and it's what made me, want to really do this broadcast, even though I had the idea for it a few days ago. But in there, but before I start, can everybody hear me? I want to make sure I'm coming in clear. I didn't do my sound check. Just want to make sure I'm coming in clear before I go into this. All right. Now, on this documentary, they showed you these villages, like these cities now, the mound cities. Now they want to go into the mound cities, right? And they showed you these elaborate buildings in places like Louisiana and places like the southern areas and things like this. They showed you all these mound cities, right, where so-called Indians built these, Mongoloid Indians built these mound cities. These were elaborate places, elaborate cities and things like that. They want to show you all these mound places, elaborate places with these Mongoloid Indians, these Asians, because they don't never want to tell you that the so-called, with these people who they calling Indians or the American Indian, they don't never want to tell you that these people are really Asians. Why don't they tell you the truth? And look, you can look at these people and tell these are Asiatic people, these are Asians. Why don't they ever make the connection? Ask yourself. You could clearly see it in their face. Why don't the white man ever make the connection between the so-called American Indian and the Asians, the Chinese and all that? Why don't they make that connection? You can clearly see these people are Asian. You can see it with their slanted eyes, they type of hollow black hair, that these are Asian people. Why don't they make that connection? Why don't they talk about the Bering Straits that these people crossed over? Because if they do that, then they would have to admit that there were people here before them that they met up with when they came over here. See, that's the part they don't want to tell you. See, because before that, they told you they came over here and the Indians was in teepees. They told you they was in teepees and living off the land and whatnot, and the white man found them. That was the story. Now, all of a sudden, the white man came in and they had elaborate cities and they built all this stuff, even though the Mongoloid Indians said they didn't build the stuff. It was already there. It was already there. Now, all of a sudden, now the history changed because they got to keep on, over time, they have to always keep, rehashing their lies because, see, new information comes out. New information comes out, people studying, like I said, you see people like myself, you see the guy, what's the guy, I forget what his name is. He put up a lot of the indigenous videos. Reason they doing it is because they seeing on YouTube a lot of so-called black people, black historians are putting up indigenous American videos, and they are linking black people who are falsely being called African American and falsely being told, telling the world, that we came from Africa on slave ships, locked in slave ships, telling that lie. Okay? So they have to rehash their lie. They have to basically do some fix-ups, some tune-ups on their lies. Now, all of a sudden, when the white man came here, these people was in cities and all this other stuff, and, the white man took all their stuff and all of this other business. So my question is this. He said he killed all of these people and took all their stuff. And so what happened to the first lie? That you came here and it was in teepees. And you saw them and whatnot and everything, and how they make it seem like it was nobody was really doing nothing here, nothing was being utilized. This the first. So you say that you came here and then you see these people and they living in these elaborate cities and they have rulers and they have some sort of government structure here. Then you turn around and say when you came here there was nothing here and that the people was basically living off the land, the so-called Indians. They was in territories and tribes fighting and stuff like that. And all of this business. So now that's the new story. Okay? So the old story was they was just living off the land. The new one, now they the ones who built the civilization, even though they said they didn't. But you got to keep in mind what the mindset was of the Caucasians. Well, the first invaders when they came here, because I told you, everybody wanted to come here into America. Everybody. From the Mongoloid Asians who crossed over into the Bering Straits and came into America, they wanted to come here because they found our people here. See, our people already had things going over here as the Olmecs, as the Aztec, as the Inca, as the Mayans. We already had things going over here for centuries. For centuries. You don't have production like this. You don't have trade like this going in a land like this, and it's not going to get all over the world. Because, see, white people was coming here. They want to lie and make it seem like white people never said, they came here. They didn't. A lot of them didn't come here. They came across here. They seen bronze people trading, doing things here and whatnot. And, they let them come, one or two of them come amongst them and whatnot here and there. This is why people started learning how to speak English, because it was Caucasians coming here, going back to Amerigo Vespucci and them. They came here before. They was coming here already. But it was like little droves of them, and they would get the news back, this new land where these copper-colored people live at and whatnot, and they have land, and it's beautiful on trees and whatnot. That's what made people want to come here. They had nothing going on in Europe. Nothing was going on there. They were struggling in Europe. Look back at the history of Europe in the 1400s and the 1300s. They lived like barbarians, man. They were living like animals over there. They had diseases all over the damn place. They were sick. They were dying, criminals all over. The only thing that upgraded them was the Moors. When the Moors came over there, the so-called blacks came over there and built structures for them people, showed them how to build, showed them how to eat, showed them how to separate their animals, change their living conditions and things like that. That's the only upgrade that the Caucasians had over there. Prior to that, they didn't have any upgrades. They was living in filth. They was living in squalor, nasty, starving, a lot of them, eating like pigs, living in houses with their animals, with their farm animals. This is what they was doing now, factually. You go look this up. Going to jail, a lot of them in jail, committing crimes and things like that. Basically had filth and disease and crime over in Europe and England, all over the place where they was at. In Ireland, potato famines and stuff like that. So they was messed up. A lot of them was messed up in Europe. There was nothing going on there. That's why they wanted to come to the New World. Why they made such an exciting thing of the New World, America, because anything was better than where they was coming from. So they was desperate to get over here, a place where it's open space, trees. They ain't never seen nothing like that when they came here. They coming off of the damn ships where they coming from, off of the so-called Mayflower and all the other ships and whatnot. And they dirty, stink, diseases, you see. Filthy people, rats with them on the ships, all kinds of smallpox. This is what they came over here bringing, escaping their own homeland. So when they seen these bronze, copper-colored people, you see, meaning us, so-called black people, wasn't no damn Mongoloid Indians they saw. They saw so-called black people. You see, they might have saw some of those Mongoloids, because, see, the Mongoloids came before the white man. They came over and crossed the Bering Strait, so they came in and mixed with our people. So they came over first, and they basically was like, they mixed in and they started learning and adopting our customs and things like that, which became what they call American Indian culture, which is really Mesoamerican culture. So they started adopting the feathered headdresses, the feathers, the bows and arrows, which you can find all that stuff, the tomahawk. You can find all that stuff. Go back in Mesoamerican history with the Mayans. Go back to the Aztecs, and you see these are bronze people with all of the same stuff that the so-called Native American Indians adopted down the line, but they want to call it Native American or American Indian culture. How is that? First of all, those two are not even synonymous. The word American and Indian is not even synonymous. Indian denotes that you come from India. Okay? That denotes that you come from India. But think about it, too. When the white man referred to them as Indians, because some of them were East Indian, some of them had East Indian, Asian mix. So when he was making reference to them as Indian, he was really talking about as in India, as in East Indians. That's what he was talking about, because that's what them people look like. The ones who mixed in are the ones who came over here, the ones who had our genetic in them. They were East Indian. They was coolies. They looked like coolies, or what you call coolies today, black and East Indian mixed coolies. You see? Or they had the Asian look to them. That's what they look like. That's your so-called American Indian. They're nothing but American East Indians and American Asians, because, again, the East Indians, because I told you before, there's only four established races on the planet. You got your so-called black people. You got your so-called white people, Caucasians. You got your so-called Mongoloid Asians, and you got your East Indians. Anything after that is a mixture of all those four. So where did the so-called Native American Indians come from? Who are they? Where did they come from? What is their true lineage? And it's not America, because you can trace back to when they came here. But they were your first invaders. They were your first American invaders, the Mongoloid Indians. But again, the white man don't tell you that those people are Mongoloid. He don't tell you that. You see? Yeah, there's a lot of other people like the guy Camille Ahawa, and the guy Dane Calloway. It's a few people that's coming out with all the Mesoamerican. They ain't saying Mesoamerican. I'm the one that started saying Mesoamerican. These guys is talking about American black Indians, and when I say a lot of our people still caught up on that black thing. They still thinking, oh, we black Indians. They still caught up on the whole black thing and trying to thinking that so-called Indian culture is from the Mongoloid Indians, and we just black people that just from Africa that just attached onto it. No, that's false. That's Mesoamerican culture, and the only real Mesoamericans, the only Americans, the Mesoamericans, the ancient Americans is so-called black people. That's our people. And I told you it fits. I'm putting everything in place like pieces to a puzzle. Does that not make sense as to why they're calling us black people and our skin is not black? Yeah, number one, to create that, to create their whole class system of white on top and black on the bottom, but also to redact or black out our history in this country. That was the whole mindset behind calling us black people, and then lying and claiming that we came over. Because, again, you think about the technology back then. There was no technology. They could not bring no 100 million people. They couldn't even bring 100,000 people here in slave ships. You see, you couldn't even do that. Where's all these slave ships at? Where's all these slave ships? Why are all these so-called black people here, the faces of black people found here in ancient America? Why are you lying and saying that they wiped out all of these people? Right? How do you wipe out millions of people? Where do you put their bodies at? You see, that would be a form of mass genocide. But they exaggerate the numbers because they want to say that the Mesoamerican people, the Aztec, the Inca, the real people, the real founders of this society, the real civilization builders here, that they all just died off. They'd rather say these people all died, that the white man slaughtered them. They'd rather say that than to tell you the truth that their descendants are still here being falsely called African Americans. They'd rather tell you that. See, I told you before, a lot is invested in the idea of slave trading. Okay? But let me continue. So these people come and they see, damn, these people got it going on. Look at all these trees, this land, this fresh air, this fishing, all of this stuff. Look at all this. These people got it going on. You see, these copper-colored people, the women look good. They nice and robust. The men are strong and whatnot. Because you look back in a lot of the journals of Columbus, because he brought a so-called black man with him, Pietro El Negrito, whatever they call it. They brought a so-called black man here to be a translator to the people that were here and a navigator. Why would you bring a so-called black man to translate for the Mongoloid Indians? No, you brought a so-called black man because the people here were so-called black people, and you wanted him to talk to your people because you know how they say, oh, y'all all the same. So why would Columbus have a so-called black man with him? That's factual, to talk to the natives, because the natives were so-called black people. It was no Mongoloid Indians nowhere. They was here mixed in amongst us, and then a lot of them were living on the outskirts. They was not living in the places where our people were living. You see, our people eventually moved out from those mound cities and moved further in on farmland and started taking into farmland and things like that. We moved out a lot of those places. Like when they talk about in Mississippi, the Mississippian mound builders, they want you to believe that those are Mongoloid Indians. That's a damn lie. Those are so-called black people that built those mounds. Those are the descendants of the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan. We, as so-called black people, are the descendants of the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, and the Olmec people, the first people here. We didn't come from Africa. That's a lie. That's a lie that they're going to keep on perpetuating. And they want us to say that all of our people disappeared. Our descendants, the descendants of those people, the Mesoamericans, disappeared. But then they turn around and tell a lie that, oh, well, the descendants of the Mesoamericans are in Mexico, and they the Asians. They go back to calling the Asians, because, again, those Mexicans are nothing but Asians, and calling them the descendants. Well, which one is it? I told you. You either wipe them out or they descendants still living. But anyway, their mindset was, you know, we got nothing else to lose. They were a band of savages that got set loose here in this country. They had all kinds of diseases. They were sick, and these people were mentally ill. And these are the people, because, again, keep in mind, a lot of the criminals and things like that were let into America. The founding fathers and the people that came here, these people were a bunch of degenerates. These were a bunch of sick degenerates. They want to make it seem like, oh, you know, these people just came here looking for a better life, and they want to clean up the story. They want to clean up the story because they don't want you to know how savage they were, because they want to come here and call our people savages, or the so-called Indians. They call our people savages, but that's the offset how they were when they came here, because they were the ones who were savages. They were the ones who were savages. Why would our people have to be savages when we living and we drinking clean water? We eating clean food, we fishing, we hunting, we growing crops, we living in homes and things like that. We living in civilization. Why would we be savages? No, that was the white man deflecting, because he's the only one who came here as a savage. What is a savage? A savage is someone who is uncivilized. Now, he comes out of a society that's uncivilized. You come out of Europe. You come out of here with a place where people barely were washing themselves. You come from a place where people had all kinds of filthy diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, a lot of them, syphilis and all this other stuff, which all came from syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, all that come from them. That was not from our people. Our people didn't start getting those diseases until a lot of the native women, like I said, you always got bed wenches somewhere. Start sleeping with these dirty Caucasian males that were coming over here, having sex with them. You always had that bed wench contingent that was doing that. And a lot of disease got spread that way. They don't want to tell you that. They want to give you the whole smallpox thing. And, oh, it was smallpox. And, you know, that's how they white people are. How could it be smallpox when you got all kinds, these people was using all kinds of herbs and stuff like that would have warded off that stuff. When you got things like sexually transmitted disease, which they never even heard of, coming from these people, because these people were sleeping with animals, having sex with sheep and goats over there in Europe. That's where a lot of that STD come from. So they brought that here with them, and they gave it to a lot of the women. You see, they gave it to the so-called black women, and the black women would go back and sleep with the men, and that's how a lot of the disease was spread. You see, a lot of sexually transmitted disease was spread because the condoms was really made for Caucasian males because they were spreading disease, sexual diseases. Right? I'm not saying there was no smallpox, and that was around, but it wasn't like how they try to make it seem, you see. So that's what these people and their disease selves, that's what killed a lot of our people off. And a lot of our people moved from areas, and they moved further into North America and set up farmlands and things like that. Or was already here, like I said, in places like Monk's Mound and the Mississippian people and ones that set up. They want to do everything but admit that that's our people. You see, they wanted to try and give a face to it, but they don't want to tell the truth that's our people. And ever since they saw that they were coming together as a band of savages, they was like they trying to upgrade themselves. Because like I said, they had nothing going on in Europe, because you don't leave a place where you got it going on to come to another place. You're going to usually stay someplace where you are secure, where you know you got protection, where you know you living in an all-white country, right? Think about that. Why did they have to come here? They was living because the Caucasians love to claim, oh, we want all of our stuff to be white, and we don't want no niggas around. Well, you was living in Europe around a bunch of white people. You lived in Europe around a bunch of Caucasians. Why did you leave? Why did you leave? Well, you know it was people here already. They already knew our people was here. That lie they tell where they just came upon America and they didn't know it was nobody here, that's a load of BS. They always knew our people was here in this country. I told you they had Caucasians coming here early on. It wasn't in big droves. They had them coming over from places like Italy and Spain. They would make their way over here, and they seen our people trading. That's how the whole news of the new world and how things is here, that's how it got back to them. You know, that's how it got back to them. They was always coming here a little bit at a time, and they was like scared to come here, and they was like that. As they seen our people tend to be welcoming people, that we tend to be a people that's, you know, hey, come on, how you doing? You know, being, you know, letting them come in here like Amerigo Vespucci and all them. And eventually these people like, whoa, we want to, you know, this is it right here. So now they start sending the news back to Europe. Oh, the new world where there's trees everywhere, there's food in abundance, there's all kinds of, you know, things growing there. We definitely got and there's really no government here. You know, you could just come in and get land. That's how they was selling it. So they was like, well, damn, we want to get out of this poverty. We want to get out of this white poverty. We want to come to a place that we can infest, a new place where we can live. And all that's here is a different race of people. Well, how are these people? Well, they tend to be more Gentile, docile people and whatnot, civilized people. Basically, that's another way of saying civilized, because they were saying their journals, the Spanish were saying their journals that that the native people, right, which was the probably by that time the Aztec or the Inca and whatnot, they tend to be gentle people. They tend to be more, you know, welcoming people, things like that. You know, you had your warriors and stuff like people that didn't trust them, but for the most part, they tend to be more gentle, inviting people, you see. And they took that as weakness, you see. They took that as weakness. Oh, they don't have no weapons to kill. They're not killers. They're not killing us. They're not tearing us apart. They're not doing it. So they took that to be weakness. This whole lie they tell about these savages, we came here, and the savages, the Indian savages, you know, the lies they tell, we came here. If they thought it was people here that was just as savage as them that would take their heads on, they wouldn't have never came here. They wouldn't have chanced it. No, they was told these people are gentle. They tend to be more, you know, like they cool and whatnot. You know, they people that you can come and live amongst and whatnot, and they're not going to really, you know, trip or nothing like that. And, you know, you can. And so they was like, oh, shit, we could just take this over then. As they got here and started saying, we could just take over. Trust me, they didn't just come here on no blind mission. They knew where they was coming to, and they knew who was here. They knew exactly where they was coming to, and they knew who was living here. You see? And once they got to know the people, they went to the people who was in charge, the people who was in the area. They started talking. They started basically trying to size the people up. Size up how many weapons they got, or are y'all working together? Y'all gonna fight us? You're saying, are you going to stop us from coming in here? Things like that. That's what they took time to figure out. Once they seen that, you know, our people really wasn't heavily on the military thing, nor was we thinking like them. That's when they start doing what they doing. That's when they start killing off our people, raping the women, taking their land, putting them in slavery, stuff like that. So you had whole groups of white males that they were bringing over here. Those are the ones who was getting imported over here on ships. They was bringing them on ships because they were trying to get more manpower, more reinforcements, because the goal was to set up a government here and take the land and the resources. That was that, to establish their own society here, a society that was, again, based on our people. Because when they talk about how the Iroquois nation was set up, of the governing system of the Iroquois nation, that's really coming from our people. All these ideas on governing and building and things like that, a democratic system, because they said that back in the ancient Mesoamerican days, they had like democratic systems back then. They had a form of democratic system. Where do you think we get this democratic system we got now? Why do you think when they show you the founding of this country, the shield of this country, they show you on one side the eagle, and then they show you the arrows, like as in Native American. Then they show you on the other side the white man and whatnot, and they show you Native American, because they showing you on this crest, and they don't just put Caucasian here, because they showing you this is where they got their idea of governing. Because keep in mind, they were coming from places where they had queens and kings, and they were monarchies. They didn't have no democracy here. They learned that from us. That whole democracy thing, that democratic thing, that come from us. It wasn't no monarchy and things like that here. That come from us. That governing body and things like that, and people having votes, or something like votes and whatnot, and people decide what they want and things like that. And when people work in the system or creating a system of living, the white man just picked that up and ran with it. And he adopted it, but he adopted it for himself and other Caucasian males. and basically, they put themselves in our place, in our position. They took the land, they took the resources, and they set up a government. And they set up their own policing in order to protect their interests from what they took, and they put our people in slavery. They was not going to kill off all the natives and whatnot, because you had skilled natives. Now, I'm not going to say they didn't kill off a lot of the people. They killed off the ones who was maybe fighting, the warriors and what, but the ones in the prisoner of war, I'm pretty sure you had some of our people was fighting them for the land and whatnot. You know, wars went down when they talk about the Indian wars of this, that, and the third. Really, that's bronze people fighting. That ain't the Mongoloid Indians. That's bronze people fighting. Because the white man made a deal with the Mongoloid Indians. You see, the Mongoloid Indians became allies with the so-called white man. The Mongoloid Indians became allies with the white man against our people. The only ones that was really doing a lot of the fighting was our people. So don't go for this history, this fake history they give you that these so-called Mongoloid Indians was fighting with the white man. That's a lie. They allowed the Mongoloid Indians to own slaves. So how much of an enemy could they have been to the so-called white man? And they made a deal with them that if the slaves escape and they run away, you got to give them back. Because, again, everybody wanted us as slaves. They wanted us as slaves because the Mongoloids didn't like us, because we didn't accept them, because, again, they were the first invaders. They came in first. And I told you when the guy had I got to get that book from the Mexican Museum where Ali Muhammad was showing you that there was a law enforcement at that time in the ancient world, and they were taking the Mongoloid Asians who were coming over from the Bering Straits and putting them in bondage, locking them up, making them work. They was doing that. Our people were the police. We were the law enforcement. You see, our people were the law enforcement. They had law enforcement here. You see, we had damn shields and swords, tomahawks and whatnot. That was our weapon, bows and arrows. You see, that was our weapon. We didn't have guns. We had bows, arrows, shields, and tomahawks. Those are the weapons our people used in law enforcement to enforce the law and basically separate the Mongoloids from our people who was trying to mix in and whatnot, trying to do dirt to our people. Like I said, you always had that contingency of people that wanted to mix their seed with these people. So over time, some of our people got mixed in with them. And then when the white man came, by the time he started coming over here, and he started coming over here more in droves because they came with the plan to basically dominate and take hold of this society, take hold of America. That's the plan they came with. We're going to take hold of America. We're going to dominate and take hold of America. And they basically opened it up wide for Caucasian males. They opened it up wide for them. You see? And in doing that, like I said, you saw some of the most savage and bloodiest wars and slaughtering of our people. The slaughtering of our people. And they slaughtered some of the Mongoloid Indians that was mixed in with us. They slaughtered them too because the white man wanted the land. You see, but mostly they tried to kill our people, but for the most part, they didn't try to slaughter our people because the reason why they didn't really want to slaughter our people is because we were skilled labor. They're like, well, damn, if we kill these niggas, who going to work the land? They know how to work the land. They know how to grow stuff. They know how to do carpentry work. We don't know how to do none of that stuff. They didn't know how to do nothing. All they knew how to do is kill people and pass diseases on. That's all these Caucasians know how to do when they came here. You see? There was this one white guy, the one who planted tobacco in South Carolina. I forget what his name was. In North Carolina, when he planted tobacco, he stole some damn tobacco seeds. That's their contribution to this country, planting damn tobacco, something that's going to kill you and give you cancer. That's their contribution. Everything else, because like I said, everything else, this land was so fertile, growing food, growing cotton, all that. They was like, well, damn, we could get this traded. We could start making money and get trade going and stuff like that. So that's what they did. And a lot of your elites, your alumni, your alumnus who was in power, they had the money system going. It was like, they told people like your George Washington, they financed the British, and then they financed George Washington's Revolutionary War. They started giving them money because they was like, well, we're gonna back your war, and we're gonna put you in power so that you can start trading with Europe and things like this. How they got trade going in Europe and sending canned goods and foods and things like that. It's basically doing trade in Europe and all over the place. You see, that's how a lot of that, because they learn how to do a canning process, and with basic canned foods and stuff like that, or put them in jars and send them into Europe and give them and start feeding these people. That created an economy over there. You see, because a lot of those places, they didn't have any food. They were starving over there. So they would send food all over. They would sell food. And again, they was taking our people, and the ones who were skilled, they were putting them in slavery, and that's how they basically took the natives out of power, by killing them. And again, they were allowed to do this because there was no law here. They were setting up the law. They was making the law. They was creating a law that would benefit them. They were creating a law that would benefit them. So these people was like, well, damn, these people are soft, they weak. This was their thinking. This was their state of mind. They soft, they weak. They ain't coming from, we gonna catch them slipping. They lax. That's like right now, if you get a bunch of hungry, dirty, grimy people that come from another place and they ain't got nothing to lose, and they see you Caucasians living good, you all eating at good restaurants and things like that, they're gonna feel like y'all soft. You better be careful letting a lot of these Mexicans over here, because a lot of them got that mentality. They coming from nothing. And they looking at you Caucasians, and a lot of them, you letting in, they're going to flip on you. You see, because y'all got all the money right now. You see, when you get people that's coming from nowhere, you get people that's coming from poverty, and they see that they got a chance to come into a place. That's why, and still to this day, you got all these people that want to come into America, because of what we started doing here. The white man, all he did was pick up where we left off. That's all he did. People want to come to America just like they wanted to come to America back then. You see, they wanted to come to America now. They want the same way. Same way. Nobody wanted to live in Europe. Nobody wanted to live in Africa. You see, the only reason the white man went into Africa is because he wanted to take all the resources out of Africa, but he had to live there to keep an eye on it. So they eventually ended up creating cities in Africa, like South Africa and stuff like that, creating sections for themselves. That way they didn't really want to live there. They wanted to basically watch their interests, watch what they were farming and mining out of the ground, on natural resources. That's why they ended up taking residence in those places. Here they wanted to live. Here they wanted to live. They wanted to live in this place where you got all these trees, you got all this plush land and fertile land and things like that. And they saw our people on it. They saw our people living. They saw our people basically, enjoying their life and whatnot, their lifestyle and how they way of life that they enjoyed for thousands of years until the so-called white man came, until he came, until the Mongoloid Indians came. Because for the most part, they were able to hold on to their land and hold on to their culture with the Mongoloid Indians because they, like I said, some of our people just mixed in with them or absorbed them into our culture. That's why if you look back at the face in ancient America, you'll see some people that got the Mongoloid mixed to them. You'll see that because that's around the time they started mixing with our people. The white man wasn't here yet. But they could not wait to get here. They could not wait to take hold of the people, slaughter the people, take the land, do whatever they want. They was ready to do anything. They was not going back to Europe was not an option. Going back to England, going back to Russia, Germany, wherever the hell they come from was not an option. They all, like I said, their life started when they came here. And that's because of our people. Just like today, everybody still want to run over into America. Everybody. Why is this always the default place for everybody to come into? Why? Yeah, because the white man now, he's in charge, and he continues to, he continued on where our people left off. But don't get it twisted. We made America attractive. Our people made America attractive. Our people made people want to come into America. And now, like I said, even with the white man in charge and things like that, still kind of on the low, our people is still the reason why people want to come from all over and come into America. Because American culture, or the face of American culture, is black people. Like I said, from the music to this talk, to the style, things like that, so-called black people. You see all these people out here trying to be like their favorite rap star, their favorite celebrity. That's all like black. That's, that's people who are looking up to that image. Okay? So if people were to come into America, as they still do, because, like I said, America has it going on. In spite of the racism that the white man brought here, in spite of the degeneracy, in spite of the pollution, America still has it going on. You see? And it had it going on back then before the white man came. Again, he was attracted into coming into America because, again, he tells more lies. He says, oh, it wasn't nobody here. This was new. This was the new world. New denotes that there was nothing here before you got here. When they talk about the new world and all this stuff, and they start clearing out trees and all this other stuff, no. The new world, you saying that it's the new world, that makes it seem like it denotes that nobody was here. Nobody else is living on this land, which is a damn lie. Because y'all was not going to take your chances coming into America and it was nobody here. That's a suicide mission. That's a suicide mission. Hell, you would have been better off in Europe. If that's the case, you would have been better off in Europe trying to make it in Europe and whatnot, because at least you know that environment. You're going to tell me you're going to come to a whole other environment in which you don't know nothing, you don't know nobody, you don't know nothing. You're going to come to a whole other environment because you're trying to escape that. That's crazy. That's crazy. When you got a whole country, a whole European continent to hide in, to go to and try over again, you're going to come clear across the water into another place where there's nothing going on. Stop it. Stop it. It don't make sense. That's a damn lie. When something don't make sense, it's a damn lie. That's a lie. You see. You're going to come to a place where you know you're going to have a chance. You're going to come to a place where you know you got a chance, or you see people over here doing it already. You're going to come to a place like that. And I told you, they was sitting around, the white man was sitting around, yeah, this place America, this place America, yeah, it was America before America Vespucci. Yeah, this place America, yeah, this is a great place, and, this, that, and the third is going on here, and it's money, and it's this, that, and the third, and it's a chance all over. And that's what they did. They looked at our success on the land. They looked at how we were living on the land. They looked at how we were able to be comfortable on the land, and they wanted to be the same way, to the point where they wanted to usurp us. They wanted to take our land and put themselves and put us in slavery. because in their mind they figured, oh, they wasn't trying to share nothing. They wasn't trying to come, well, can we like get that, come here too, and this and the third. They wasn't trying to share nothing. You see, because they know over time, they with that recessive genetic of the Caucasian, they always don't know over time that these dominant people are going to overtake them. That's how they feel. That's how they feel. So they were able to make deals with people, get cool with certain people, stuff like that, get cool with certain chiefs and whoever was head of civilization. And a lot of those people who they was cool with, a lot of those so-called black people they was cool with, you know, Olmecs and the Aztec and all that, a lot of those people they were cool with, like I said, those are the people who more or less started partnering up with these people going, and, you know, that's when they started building their little boule over here. That's when they got some of these niggas that helped them. That's when the little boule class started. You see, from them niggas, from the Mesoamerican niggas who they made deals with. Yeah, you know, if you sell out your people, if you tell us what they doing, if you do, hell, we might let you own slaves, and you get to be you don't have to be a slave. You don't have to be a slave. You get special treatment. You see, they did a lot of that to so-called Mesoamerican black males so that they could gain a bigger foothold into America. You know, they made sure they turned America into a place for white people. They turned America into a place for white people. And they helped there, and they basically uprooted us, the Mesoamericans. They uprooted us and tried to replant our roots in Africa. They uprooted the Mesoamericans, the real Native Americans, our people who were falsely being called black, and they tried to plant our seeds in Africa, meaning they tried to tell us this lie that we come from Africa and all this BS. That's what they're trying to do. That's why you're in the predicament, in the position you're in right now. See, these are real things that happen to our people. Miss me with the whole Israelite thing. Miss me with the whole Christian thing. Miss me with all that, you know, all that nonsense prophecy stuff. I tell you what really happened. We dealing with reality. You see, what really happened to our people, the Mesoamerican people. This is what really happened to them. This is the things they had to go through. You see, you call it anything you want. Oh, it's Israelites or it's Christian, whatever. You call it whatever you want to. Our people had their land taken from them by a bunch of degenerates, by a bunch of dirty, filthy, nasty, stinking degenerates that came in from Europe and passing out diseases and foul treatment to our people. You see, like I said, the white man, he was playing both sides of the fence. At one point, he'd be all acting this way, that way. Then the next moment, they're trying to come for our heads and take us to war. You know, that whole narrative of referring to people who were not so-called Judeo-Christian, who was not people in the Bible and all that other business. You know, that whole narrative, that whole false narrative of people who are not the people of the Bible. And again, I'm going to say this too. I'm going to go into this too. You know, the Bible, for the most part, is a plagiarized book of ancient texts from the ancient Kemetics and the ancient Nubians and the books. The Bible is nothing but a watered-down Caucasian version of our people's struggle in the society, and people have tried to. And the reason why I bring that up is because the white man is always good at, when he came over here and he comes amongst our people, he's always good at pushing that book off on our people first. They're always good at pushing the Bible off on our people and using that book as a form of to judge our people and call them savages and things like that, and say that they, you know, our people are savage because we're not sitting up here claiming that we come out of a book or claiming a Bible and claiming to be people of law and order and people who are of integrity from that book like they do, which is false. You see, they stood on that whole ground and calling our people savages and things like that, and all this business based on what they claim to stand for in the Bible, because a lot of times they would come, and a lot of the religious people would come. See, the religious people was coming to finesse the people. The religious people came with that spiritual game and, basically trying to get them under that white religious belief, getting them Christianized, basically getting them wrapped around that whole idea of a Caucasian God. And then, of course, these people are the descendants of these Caucasians, stuff like that. And you had a few Mesoamerican, Native American Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemimas who accepted this early. Some of them, you'll look back and you'll hear some of these people referring to these Caucasians when they came into the land as white gods. You had some of them people refer to them that way. Somebody had just put something, and I want to read that. I want to read that with this article. I'm gonna read this right now. This is let me put that article in about the people being the natives, about the natives being transported over. I'm going to read that. Right? I don't know which book it's from, where it says, while natives have been forced, natives, notice, in this land, while natives, meaning natives of this land, America, while natives have been forced into slavery and servitude as early as 1635, it was not until King Philip's War that natives were enslaved in large numbers. This is how your slavery started, right? It wasn't until natives were enslaved in large numbers. Fisher writes in the study 1675 to 1676, war pitted Native American leader King Philip, also known as Metacomb, and his allies against English colonial settlers. Right? During the war, New England colonies routinely shipped Native Americans as slaves to Barbados, Bermuda, Jamaica, Azores, Spain, and Tangier in North Africa, Fisher says. Who you think that was? Referred to as natives. See the truth coming out? That was not the Mongoloid Indians. That was not your so-called Native American Mongoloid Indians. No, see, they left them here. And they made the slaves out of the natives, which was our people. You see, in those places I named, you find out how people heavy in Bermuda, Jamaica, Azores, Spain, Tangiers, North Africa, Barbados, our people all over here. So what are they telling you? They took our people and brought them over into Barbados. So you people who from Barbados, you natives. You people who from Bermuda and Jamaica, you natives over here of America. So you niggas need to stop talking that Jamaican shit. You were slaves right over here in America, man. Y'all got brought into Jamaica. That's where you really got brought from slaves. You didn't come from Africa to Jamaica. No, they took you from North America, South America, and the Americas, Central America, Mexico, and they brought you into Jamaica to be slaves. Cut down sugar plantations and stuff like that. That's where the slaves came from in Jamaica, the people in Jamaica. Now, you probably had some people on those islands, but for the most part, they had some of the East Indians over there, because a lot of our people started mixing in with them, and that's when they started calling our people West Indians. You see, you had your East Indians over there, and then you had our people mixing in with them, and that's where you got the West Indian thing from. And a lot of the things that you so-called West Indians copied from the East Indians. You see, a lot of your stuff is copied from them. That's where you got like coolie stuff from too. You see, here it is. You go read up on this. You see, that's when they start putting our people in slavery, and a lot of our people transported from America into those different places. Why? Because, again, I told you our people were skilled labor. Our people were builders. They were skilled labor. They need to stop telling that lie that, we just brought them here to pick cotton and cut sugar cane and pick cotton. Anybody could do that. You could have got white people to do that. That's no skill. You don't import people from Africa for thousands and thousands of miles to pick cotton. No. If you're going to come into a new land and you plan to take hold of that land, what do? Ain't that what I just said? And see, I never even read that. Here it is. Somebody put that in our chat. I never even read that history. But see, I already know because it makes sense. See, history is what makes sense. It didn't make sense for you to take people from Africa. That's how you know we're not African. It didn't make sense for you to take people from Africa and people who can't speak a language, can't speak English or nothing like that. You got to teach these people. You got to fight these people. You got to beat these people. You got to kill these people. Where's your profit at? Where's your business? Where's your business bottom line at? Where are you profiting from this? You got to throw people over damn ships. So that means if you bought a million black people in slave ships, so you mean you tell me? Let's say you say you bought 100 million. So you mean to tell me, and the ones who got sick and all that, so we could find all them bones at the bottom of the sea, right? There should be millions of bodies under the water, bones and everything still lit. Why they ain't find them? Why they didn't find them? Same way with that story about in Egypt, people drowned in the sea and whatnot. The Red Sea opened up and people was drowning in the sea. Where all the bodies at? Where they at? People gotta learn to get their lives straight. Right? Right? People gotta learn to get their lives straight. You see? It makes sense that if you're going to take hold of some land, don't you need workers who know how to work the land? The people who have been working the land? Would it not make sense that you're going to enslave those people who are on the land, the natives? Hello? That's us. We were the natives who got enslaved. Damn. So much for you so-called Pan-Africans, man. You niggas got brains like, I don't know, your brains are in your ass somewhere. Y'all just believe anything the white man tell you. That's, again, you don't have to be there to know what makes sense. The truth, logical things make sense. Don't tell me nothing that don't make sense. It don't make sense for you to bring slaves from people from a whole other culture, from a whole other continent over here to pick cotton. That's it. You had white indentured servants over here in America who could have did that, and they did do that. They did do that. You had white indentured servants right on the damn plantation, right with so-called black people. But what the white man did was, and a lot of them was doing that light work, picking the cotton. But see, what ended up happening was the white man eventually was like, okay, some of them people start mixing together. The indentured servants and the natives who they made slaves, some of them started mixing together. So the white man, in order to stop that, he elevated the indentured servants to slave overseers. You see? And then he started allowing them to take land and whatnot. They started doing stuff like that. You see? A lot of white people that came over who didn't have no money from Europe, they became indentured servants. They was the ones picking cotton and all this other shit. But see, they could get their freedom in 7 years and get a plot of land and stuff like that, and then they end up owning slaves. You see, they worked their way up and they started owning slaves. See, they was white, so they could just get out of their indentured servitude. They can buy their way out. They can work for a wealthy white person and buy their way out. And next thing you know, they get a plot of land, and that's what they started doing. They started enslaving black people. You see, that's how a lot of them came over here. They came over, they didn't have nothing. You see, they don't want to tell you the real history. They don't want to tell you the real history. And then you have some of our people who was able to hold their own, who got together, and some of them was able to fight off the white man. Some of them was able to keep their land. Some of them sold out to people and whatnot. And, and like I said, some of these boule niggas started to come up and be around white people. And the white man, for the most part, used them, you see. But you see how things came about. You see how we got on those islands. Like I said, they got the whole thing backwards. They want you to think, oh, we came from Africa and they just dropped us off in all them places. No, we came from America and they dropped us off in those places like in the islands and in the West Indies and stuff. That's how we got there. You see, that's how we got there in large numbers. Okay? Again, y'all got to think about the things people tell you and what condition people were really in at that time. You see, you got to think about the condition in which people were in at that time. And so I tell people all the time, I said, for you Pan-Africanists, like I said, I take calls and whatnot from these people. But when you want to start telling lies and you want to start going with the narrative of the so-called white man, because like how they had that clown that came in here a couple of weeks ago and he wants to talk about how we came from Africa and everything I'm saying is a lie and whatnot. Well, like I said, I just read from a text that makes total sense. You see, I just read from a text that makes total sense. All right? So if you want to sit up here and tell me, oh, well, that don't make sense, brother, what you saying, it makes a lot of sense. You see? It makes a whole lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. All right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. People are going to sit up here and lie to you because, again, they want to keep on spinning the false narratives. We are the only Americans here. I'm going to say that. I said it once. I'm going to say it again. We are the only real Americans here. We're the only natural-born Native Americans here. They just told you right here. You know they're not talking about Mongoloid Indians. They're not talking about them. They ain't never been no slaves. Show me any place where the so-called Mongoloid Indians was in slavery. What natives are they talking about? Show me any place where you see any so-called Mongoloid Indians in captivity and servitude. Where at? Where? You ain't going to find them. You know why? Not because they were so strong like they try to make it sound, oh, the Indians, they were so strong, they wasn't trying to hear that. That's BS. The only reason why they didn't put them in slavery because they couldn't do shit. They was not skilled labor. The so-called Native Americans were not, American Indians were not skilled labor. There was nothing they could do. They were useless as a people. They were useless. They didn't know how to build shit. That's why they was living in teepees and huts. If you want to talk about people being tribal savages, that was them. That wasn't our people. You don't want tribal savages. You don't want to enslave tribal savages. They're going to be fighting you every minute. They can't do nothing. They don't know how to do nothing. The best you could do is take their women. And that's what they did. They make a whole lot out of, they try to make a whole lot out of how these people are and what they had going on. And again, props is being given to these so-called American Indians, because that's what they are, American East Indians and Mongoloids mixed. That's what they are. But for some strange reason, the white man will not make that connection. Why? Because then it tells you the truth. It tells you really where they came from. And then you start looking back into their culture. You're not going to find none of that stuff over there. So you ask yourself, well, where did they get this culture from? Where did they get the feathers and the birds and the bows and arrows and all this stuff? You start asking yourself, well, where did they get that from? You can't find that where they came from. If they brought that culture with them, you're supposed to be able to look from where they came from. When they came from Asia, they're supposed to have that same setup over there. You're supposed to bring your culture with you. Unless you came here and you found somebody else doing that and you just started copying them. Unless, and don't that sound more plausible? You came over here and you saw other people doing, another race of people doing that, and you mixed in with those people and you just adopted their culture. That's what you did, because part of the American invaders, they part of the American invasion too. The so-called Mongoloid Indians who came over here across the Bering Straits, they part of the invasion too. The white man wasn't the first one to invade. That they was the first invaders. They was the first invaders. And boy, do I want to find that book. I want to find that book. You see, when Dr. Sebi, like I said, all this stuff with Dr. Sebi was talking about our people with the roots and the herbs and whatnot, and this stuff from Mexico and stuff like that. Man, Dr. Sebi, I guess he didn't know. Man, we found that image of the Mesoamerican healer, ancient Mesoamerican healer, just like Dr. Sebi. That's our people's culture, man. A lot of those Mexicans and whatnot you see, they just copying our culture, man. A lot of Mexicans who know anything about herbs, they copied from us, man. That's our Mesoamerican culture. See, we let it go, and we let it go, or we was forced to let it go, and we had to become American Negroes. They forced us into becoming black people. See, we lost that part of our heritage. We lost our Mesoamerican heritage. But see, we taking it back. We taking it back, and we taking it forward. Feathers, bows and arrows and everything. That's our culture. That's our heritage. It did not come from the Mongoloid Indians. Because, again, I'm going to have to ask you if that's the truth. Then you got to show and prove where you had that going before you came into America, before you crossed the Bering Straits. These people were well aware, the Caucasians, the early American invaders, your Mongoloid Indians and your Caucasians were very aware of where the culture came from and who the people, the natives were. We have to look at history again. We have to relook at history because history is truly become his story. It has truly become the story of the so-called white man. And it's full of nothing but false narrative, man. You know, again, you know, these invaders, you know, they came to a place, again, when people are invading a place, gentrifying a place, colonizing a place, all the different names they got for it, basically taking other people's stuff. When they take other people's shit, they gonna take good shit. You ain't gonna take bullshit from people. You see, you ain't just again. You're not gonna just come into a place and you want to kill off people. You say they want to say that they killed off the so-called Indians for land. What land was that? What land was that? They couldn't have been killing them off to take no land because they wasn't really living on no land. They were squatting. Everywhere the so-called Indians were, they squatted. They were squatters. They were campers. The Mongoloid Indians were campers. We come from societies of people who were agricultural people, builders and things like that, and we didn't let them people be amongst us like that. That's why they was always on the outskirts, and the white man would come at them. So they was hating on our people too. The so-called Mongoloids didn't like our people because, see, we had, this is what I'm trying to tell you, we had groups of men who were hunters, farmers, builders. The women were seamstresses. They were skilled people. You would have to have skilled people to have a civilization, a society. Those mound cities and things like that, which were cosmopolitan cities, you got to have skilled people there. You can't just have people that don't know how to do shit. Who built all this stuff? The so-called Indians, Mongoloid Indians, so they don't know how to build nothing. And again, they got to put together little teepees and huts. And you actually saw real people building stuff there. So when these people came in, the mindset of these people was, damn, they could build like that? Shit, we're going to take them. We're going to make them build our plantations up. We're going to make them build up on the slave quarters and stuff. I ain't never seen no who built it. The white man didn't build that. He didn't know how to build. He didn't build it. He didn't build the slave plantations and the things like that. Again, we were skilled labor. You're gonna make skilled labor slaves. The people who don't know how to do shit, you just use them. What you'll do with them people is you'll use them to help you maintain slavery, which is what they did with the Mongoloid Indians. Your Mongoloid Indians are very racist. They don't like you so-called black people. Even to this day, when you niggas try to sit up here and claim you Indians with them, they're like, get your black ass out of here. They just as racist as the white man. The white man used them to help put you in slavery. They let them own slaves because they figured, hey, you know, we don't want them siding with the niggas. If they side with the niggas and fight against, we're going to have a problem. If they're fighting with the niggas, they're going to help. Some of them helped our people. They was cool with our people. But for the most part, they humans, man. The Mongoloid Indians are humans. They Mongoloids. They gonna side with the white man. The white man, look, hey, you're not like them. You got the same straight animal fur like me. You know, we both we cut from the same cloth for them. You know, the white man gonna try to find the similarities, you know, to work against our people. You see, they're gonna try and find similarities. They saw our people and saw we were civilized people, man. And they figured civilized people, they ain't savage like us. So when they calling our people savages, they really talking about themselves. Because the white man is good at deflecting on, you know, he deflects his true nature on other people. So when he calls our people savages, he really talking about himself. When he calls our people degenerates, he really talking about himself. When he calls says our people are low moral compass, he's really talking about himself. When he talk about our people are dirty and filthy people, he's talking about himself. That's how they came here. But they want to turn around and make all of their degenerate attributes. They want to attach it to the people to justify doing what you did to them. See, we brought civilization here. We in Thanksgiving we came and we was helping the natives and we was showing them. How you showing the natives how to do shit in their land? How you showing them how to do shit where they come from? They help, if anything, they helping you. But they made it seem like they was bringing them some. They brought corn and we had Thanksgiving. Come on, man. You know, y'all gotta stop with the lies, man. And along with the other lies, the 100 million slaves that came over here, locked in chains. You see, and you got plenty of proof to show that that's not true. They wanted skilled labor. You see, even right now in a sweatshop, when you got sweatshop workers, right, in Asia and places like that sew up Nike and make Nike and stuff like that, those are skilled laborers. They know how. Those are seamstresses. Those are seamstresses. Hell, and I'm gonna tell you something else. I'm pretty sure I'm willing to stake my life on it. That I'm pretty sure they had the so-called black women, the ones who were seamstresses. They probably had them in damn sweatshops making uniforms, making clothes and pants and shit. I'll stake my life on. I bet you look farther, you're gonna find that. Cause they didn't just have nigga women out there picking cotton. No, they had you making pants, making suits and shirts and things like that. You was the ones making all this stuff because y'all know how to sew. You know how to tailor stuff. You know the women knew how to do seamstress stuff. You see? They wasn't doing none of that stuff. You the skilled labor. And they felt like they could take advantage of you. You see? They felt like they could take advantage because they were the savage ones. They the ones that were savages. And they know when you got people who are savages and willing to kill to take hold of something like that, when they hungry, when you got a hungry animal that's been starving, you see, that's a dangerous animal. When you got a hungry animal that's starving, that's a dangerous animal. You see, that's a dangerous animal. They'll kill anything. So that was the mentality these invaders had when they came over, the American invaders, your Caucasians, your white people, and your Mongoloid Indians who crossed the Bering Strait. They all came over on the same shit. They was all on that same, trying to take over our land, America, trying to usurp the Mesoamericans, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, and the Olmecs. But the Olmecs came and was going pretty much before they even thought about coming over here. So they probably came around the time of the Mayans. They came around the time of the Mayans and the Aztec. That's when your Mongoloid Indians crossed the Bering Straits. You see, and they came over and saw our people. The Olmecs had already built their stuff and had left, and they basically took over. Our people kept taking over under different names, up until this point. And then as you seen them build up America, they had America popping. And as soon as they got America, they showed you America popping and doing things. Everybody wanted to come here. They wanted to come here. They wanted to know where to do it because, again, the land of milk and honey, as they call America, notice they use terms like that where there's food, there's plenty of food, there's plenty of opportunity, there's plenty you could eat and build, and people ain't on your back and whatnot. So that's what they came over here for. You ain't starving and nothing like that. People going to come to some place where they can eat good, they got space, there ain't nobody on their back. America was perfect for them to come over. And when they found our people, they seen our people wasn't really, tripping off of them coming over here, even though some did. They all should have been like that. Unfortunately, they weren't. But that was the mindset of these people. They saw our people as weak. They saw our people because, again, in their mind, civilized people who don't want to be doing all that fighting, but in their mind, they weak. Would they just right for the taking? We could take their land. Take them as a people and put them in slavery. And that's the history of that.